guys doing today? We are back again, and let's just scoot in here. I'm doing this YouTube book, just U2, U squared. I just want to wrap it up. I don't have a ton left, but I am just slowly working my way through these books. So I think they're important just to address the mindset. I believe that so many things are in the mind, but I'm going to get into this. So if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, I'm going to basically open this up to a live. Well, it is a live. I'm going to open it up to where I can do some Q&A as well. So I think that might be helpful. Let's just put that on. So also in the midst of all of this, I have been doing a challenge, and I guess you could call it refining of the temple, which I did talk about earlier today. But long story short is that I guess I didn't really create a goal, and that's actually interesting because like change your personal rules. So I didn't define the goalpost, right? So I kind of inadvertently just wanted to get healthier, but I did, truthfully, I wanted to feel better, perform better, and look better as well. So a multitude of parameters that I wanted to set for all of that. And so I don't think I felt that bad originally starting out on this diet, but, or diet and this lifestyle change. So I've been trying to get more sleep consistently, 7 or 8 hours a night, no alcohol, no meat, no animal product, period. Although, I mean, full transparency is so I'm closing in on Saturday will be 2 weeks. So I'm down right now 10 pounds, or at least I was this morning. We'll see with lunch. But I've been trying to avoid preservatives, dyes, sugar, and trying to eat more fresh fruits, vegetables, and whatever. So long story short is it's working, and that's we're not even, what day is it? Thursday, so we got a couple more days. So I was averaging about a pound a day drop, but I don't want to lose all of my lean mass either, because I really want to maintain that. So I've been still going to the gym and lifting, and actually lifting pretty heavy. So that's just been the reality of it. So it's been good, but I didn't set a goal, although previously I did this for 90 days, a pretty similar thing, and I lost 30 pounds, and turns out I have abs. There's somewhere underneath there, but anyways, so that's been my journey there. So I'm gonna get into this book. I'm gonna check it out. If you guys have questions about what I'm doing, I'll give you information, but I feel like this is just kind of like why not improve ourselves? And the body, I feel like, has to function well to get the mind and the soul to function as well. So it's part of what I'm after. So what's up, Rebecca? How are you? Where are you at? But I think change your personal rules for success. So that's kind of an idea, right? Is I would like to define success. And so it's interesting because I think that success is all relative, right? Just like many other things, so is like health, right? So that's kind of an interesting thought all in of itself, because I think most people think success and they instantly think monetary status. But I don't think it's just that. So I wish I actually had this, but Shahid, your voice is beautiful. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm in Colorado in the US. So I think that success it's spiritual, it's your health, it's your relationships, it's your freedom, right? Like, you may have great health and you may have a lot of money, but what if you don't have any freedom to experience and like capitalize on those things that you do have? I feel like you're at a loss at that point. Um, but it might be temporary discomfort that you have to endure to get to your goal, right? Um, you want me to sing? There is actually a video of me singing. So I feel like I would have to see, you already made me blush, man. But thank you. I get embarrassed thinking about singing, but I love to sing. So at some point I will perform a song. How about? But not tonight, because I need to practice. I haven't sang in a while. But I am gonna I'm gonna read some of this. So hopefully that's still soothing for your soul. But anyways, my thought is well, I want to see what you guys think about that, the criteria for success, right? I originally said that my life I would build on 5 pillars of faith, family, friends, fitness, and finances. 5 pillars, but I'm gonna add fun to that because I feel like I pulled that out of there. So it was one of those things that I felt like, well, what good is all of that stuff if I'm not enjoying it? So I really got to focus on that, especially when you have a 12-year-old boy. You know, my son definitely enjoys to have the joy-filled side of his father and to kind of disconnect and like have some of that childlike curiosity and engagement. Not childish, but childlike, right? Um, can you sing all the single ladies? You guys are horrible. Shahid, I'm Indian, Uttar Pradesh, India. That's awesome. Thank you for joining. And what time is it over there? I think you guys are probably like 10 hours ahead of us, I'm guessing. Ever Loving Outdoors, how's it going? Sorry, I'm not at the scooter project, but I do got to get back out there. I just need to go get more paint. So I'm doing a little bit of this tonight, Ever Loving Outdoors. But so I'm going to get into this. So if you guys, Ever Loving Outdoors, we're talking about this U Squared book. So it says change your personal rules for success. So I was defining my parameters for success, as well as kind of the health challenge that I was taking and challenge some of the viewers too. So I don't know who said yes to that, and I don't know who said that they're just gonna sit on the couch, but there's no judgment. I'm just here trying to challenge everybody in a healthy format because I myself too want to be challenged in a healthy way. So I'm gonna read, but feel free to comment, and I'll look up every once in a while and see what's going on. And if you have thoughts, please engage and entertain me as well. It says, leveraging up from your personal effectiveness by an order of magnitude, going from U to U squared is not a commonplace idea. I mean, that's right. Like, what would I do if I was multiplied times myself? That might actually be really cool, but that might also be terrifying. Cooley, India, Kirkut name. What does that mean? I originally took the name Cooley because it was my childhood nickname because the little fish that look like miniature eels. I used to love to swim, but my dad nicknamed me that. Ever Loving Outdoors says, eat raw salmon as much as possible, poke bowls, etc. That will get you in real good shape, but extremely expensive. I thought about that too. So right now, I don't know if you heard what I was doing already, the Ever Loving Outdoors, but I basically cut all, it's basically vegan plus, so cut out most of all animal products, with the exception, I had 2 meals that I had 1 steak and I had some chicken, so I didn't go hardcore. And then I've really been trying to cut out preservatives, as well as most of the salt and most of the sugar, with the exception of like my organic honey. So I've had a couple little coffees, maybe 2 or 3 coffees that are like the dessert coffees, just because it's a pretty intense diet to maintain, but it's been working. So I was gonna say I was down 10 pounds this morning, and I started at 245. Your favorite actor, Shah Rukh Khan. Who is that? I might have to look that person up. Ever loving outdoors, don't cut out lean beef and salmon. I'm only doing it for 30 days, so I don't want to run into like having an iron deficiency or anything like that. But I still think that there's enough of those micronutrients in other food. But I do know I'm at a severe caloric deficit, so I don't want to continue to stay at that point because otherwise I'll waste away and all my hard work in the gym goes bye-bye. Shahid, 6:34 a.m. Well, you're up early. Are you about ready to go to work, or what are you doing? Says you should not be surprised to hear that unconventional success calls for unconventional approaches. The way that I've seen that is that you got to be willing to essentially sacrifice something for the cost of something else, whether that's instead of going out and having fun with your friends, then you sit there and you study for the next license or certification or, whatever that goal is, or you grind on a project, right? So, I mean, for me, it's 7:05. I don't have my son, so this is my time to really work on my other projects, whether it's my scooter, hit the gym, some relaxation time I think is important because I think I was really burnt out for a while there. So my brain was just like not functioning well. Ever loving outdoors, I did the salmon diet thing for about 45 days. My testosterone was through the roof. I felt like an animal. That's actually awesome. So maybe what I'll do is the next 30 days, maybe I'll go to my diet plus salmon and I'll document what happens there because I absolutely love salmon. And happy Ramadan to you as well, Shahid. I don't participate in it, but I got a lot of people that do that are on this channel. So that's awesome, and praying that that is a fruitful endeavor for you. Quantum leaps require paradoxical behavior, unusual moves, actions that on the surface often seem to contradict common sense. I actually completely agree with this because many times what seems best for us is just to continue to do what we're doing and to not disrupt what our pattern is. But at 100% what we need to do is disrupt our pattern. I mean, I genuinely think that while I may have carried my weight, it was 245 and 6 foot, 245 pounds. I don't know what the kilos is maybe like 120 or something like that for those of you that go by the metric system. But I just felt like it wasn't like I looked horrible. I just didn't look optimal or healthy. And I can certainly tell you I went to run a mile and I was not healthy. I wasn't slow, at least for the sprinting distance, but I was too heavy, and I could feel that in other areas of my body. Like, couldn't feel it too much in my back just yet because I had built that up, but definitely my ankles, knees, legs, and actually my feet. You, sir, you look strong. Thank you. I work out 4 to 7 times a week, just depending on the week. And I lift and I lift heavy. But I don't use any performance enhancing drugs. So this is just me. Does make me wonder what I could do on those, but I'm not going to do that. I just feel like that's bad for the longevity in your body. Ever looking outdoors? It's morel mushroom season starting here. I don't know what those are, but I can tell you that, and maybe you are the one that commented on that picture of that portobello mushroom. Those taste just as good as steak to me, and I honestly might even prefer it over steak flavor-wise. I don't think that you could necessarily sustain yourself unless you ate. You would have to eat probably 3 or 4 of those to the amount of steak that you would consume to have that maintain your caloric intake, I guess. Shahid, I'm a good person. I believe that we all have that goodness within us, so trying to feed that good wolf. And so I hope that, well, I'm glad you see that. There's still a lot of personal refinement that I have to do, to be honest. So that's a lot of what my channel is about, is the journey of becoming my best self, and always challenging myself to become better. So there's a lot of that challenging. You can see it in some of my other videos where I do many things that I don't know what I'm doing, but I believe in finishing strong and allowing the work to work on me. So that's my goal. Ever loving outdoors, good outdoor activity, finding mushrooms. You should try chicken of the woods. Wow, what a healthy meal. And what is chicken of the woods? You're gonna have to tell me. Is that a vegetable? But yeah, I agree. Like all of that walking, I think walking is super healthy. I will say I can't really talk about my other profession, but all of the people that, let's just say if you're a runner, it's probably one of the healthiest things you can do to increase the longevity of your life. So that's one thing that I've learned in many years of my professional field. So those guys always do the best as far as like their BMI looks great, their heart looks great, everything else looks like it's just, that's apparently what the human body wants to do to survive for a long time. So carrying a lot of weight isn't in my favor for longevity. So that's another reason that I want to lean out. Because if you think about it, if I realistically should weigh, I mean, probably my frame naturally would support 160 to 190 pounds. If I'm at 245, my body's easily working 25%, maybe 30% over what it should be, which means like not necessarily a lot on some areas of the body, but things like the heart and the kidneys and the liver, like all of that's working extra to maintain extra mass. So I just don't think like just understanding the way that mechanical parts work, not that the body is mechanical, but it works a lot like a mechanical system. I think that it's just overtaxing it in that regard. And I'm not necessarily doing training for anything specific. Do you eat food? Yes, I do eat food. Ever loving outdoors. It's a gourmet mushroom available across the U.S. Foragers find it. It's a thick, meaty mushroom. I'm gonna write that one down because I'm gonna look it up. And how do you cook yours? It's like chicken without the game flavor. Interesting. That would actually be super tasty. Dante says, eat some mushrooms, sit in an old church, feel the energy, reflect and pray, brother. You're talking about the other mushrooms. I have people tell me to do that all the time. I honestly, I've never smoked weed. I've never done any other drugs other than, well, okay, the dental drugs that they'll give you. So whatever they use to knock you out, numb you, and then like the oxy, like the pain management pills, I have never liked those, honestly. I'd rather just have like a shot of whiskey if the pain's really getting to me. But other than that, it's just like nicotine, tobacco, and alcohol. But I've heard that it is a very spiritual experience. Pan with a little olive oil. Okay. So I actually did avocado oil for the last ones, and that was pretty tasty. Here's some good mushrooms. Chicken of the woods, morels, oysters, 3 easy to identify. Well, that's good. Because when I was a kid, I think I poisoned myself with mushrooms. But I honestly didn't. My mom just made me throw them up, and I was fine. Thank God. But Dante says the devil is in the decay, but on the other side, from the fruit of the decay, you will find the God within. Interesting. What do you mean by that? You're gonna have to break it down. It's late after work. Fruit is on the other side of decay. You're talking about life. Devil is in decay, though. All right. So you guys keep commenting. I'm going to read the next paragraph. But also, so when any of you guys have had these quantum leaps in your life, what are the unusual moves or actions or events that have taken place? What have you done that has contradicted common sense, that has led to success that was abnormally disproportionate to where you should be or what you should have received? That's my question. Can't read your name. Hi from Russia. Please say any American answer. I'm bad. If him asking, how are you? I am bad. I don't know. How are you? I am doing well. How are you, sir or madame? Ever Loving Outdoors says, yeah, I have to be careful with mushrooms, but there's a ton of health benefits with them. Yeah, honestly, my immune system eating this way is definitely far superior to like a traditional American diet. So I will say that. I'm reading this book right now, also called Radical Remission, and it is very similar to that's the other thing, is I'm really trying to avoid gluten, as well as, I don't know if I said sugar and anything processed. I think I said that. But anyways, the Radical Remission is talking about a holistic life approach to getting rid of cancer in your body. But I will tell you that I've done a lot of kidney research for my own health. It's been way beyond the scope, but I found a really good YouTube channel, and I found a really good book that is non-traditional medicine that has been awesome. So I did labs before and after. So when I was talking earlier about this diet and doing 90 days of it, I lost 30 pounds, and the kidney filtration rate, the GFR, improved by almost 35% of what it was. So I don't know if it's just that easy to have an erratic reading on those tests. I should have probably done another one. But it was awesome, and I felt better, and I looked better, and my performance in the gym and in life actually, it was a little harder to lift heavy. Took more energy to do that, but my mental clarity improved a lot, which is kind of another reason that I was like, I think I want to come back to doing this. But again, I like this idea of I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to try introducing salmon into my diet, because I love salmon. Although I love smoked salmon, I'm not sure that that's as healthy because it tastes really good. But Ever Loving Outdoors says turkey tail is something to look into as well. Are you talking about the actual turkey, or are you talking about a type of mushroom? All right, I'm going to keep going. As human beings, though, we ordinarily go with the obvious. We fall into the habit of relying on behaviors that seem to have worked best for us over the years. When we take an approach that seems to be very serviceable and which enables us to perform well and succeed, we become very attached to it. We don't readily relinquish that habit pattern. In fact, there's a tendency to follow our favorite approach more and more often, such that we get better and better at handling things that particular way. And it's so true, because I think we have the inclination to take the path of least resistance. Turkey tail mushrooms fight against cancer. Okay, awesome. So also what I discovered was that sulforaphane, and I think Dr. Ron Patrick talks about this, helps with the regenerative properties within our cells and our DNA. So that's another thing she gets into. I saw her on Joe Rogan talking about that, but I haven't dove into that. But a lot of luckily, thank God, I'm not dealing with cancer. However, my father did pass away from cancer, so it's definitely something that's on my mind. So I figure might as well do all the preventative stuff beforehand. So I'm gonna give it a shot. But so um, this adroitness with certain approach results in our overdependence on the strategies and tactics it involves. We resist maneuvers because they make us feel clumsy, awkward, and more at risk. I have done that when I felt like I really needed to break routine. So like right now, this has been a challenge. My first year of doing YouTube was a challenge to basically get myself comfortable to where I could enter into doing YouTube videos professionally for my business. And I kind of wanted to practice with something that I felt like the stakes were lower, but still potentially going to yield fruit. And I had to look up adroitness, hopefully I pronounced it right. But it says skillful performance or ability without difficulty. So it comes very naturally. But resist new maneuvers because they feel, so if you're right-handed and you throw with your left hand, that's something that I realized that I very quickly could change. I hurt my shoulder, a lifting injury, and I had to start throwing the football with my left hand. And it took me about 2 months, and I was honestly just as good. I might have even thrown the ball further with my left hand. But I started out throwing like for sure a girl that first couple weeks. So that was kind of cool to see how quickly I could adapt. And I've seen that with different sports. So like if you've ever gone from doing nothing to something frequently, then you can see how that becomes something that can happen as you can adapt your behavior and your body. So like rock climbing, I started doing it daily from not doing it at all. And my body just adapted like crazy. So it's super impressive. But this says, but if you want to accelerate your achievement rapidly, you must search out and vigorously employ new behaviors, new attitudes. You must be willing to break out of your routines in order to make the quantum leap. This is actually interesting because I was also listening to a Bible study on sin this morning. And so a lot of that is talking about holding on to and trying to do something yourself, when in reality, you just have to let go. I mean, in the spiritual light, it's talking about letting go and let God take over for you. Ever Loving Outdoors says, bow hunting is a great fitness sport. It's actually funny you say that because a buddy gave me a bow, and one dude that I saw a dude on YouTube doing this, it was like 220 pounds of lat pull downs with one arm. And I think, or was he doing rows? I can't remember, one or the other, maybe both. But it was just like, what a monster. Like that was crazy. And I could do that way with 2 arms. I could do actually a little bit more, but definitely I can't do double that. That is insane. So, but I think he was practicing for like a 200 or 220 pound draw, which was super impressive. And my buddy actually, he made fun of me for, he's like, not really made fun of me, but he's like, here's a 70-pound draw in this bow. And he's like, it's quite a bit, although my 10-year-old son might be able to get it, but it's a little heavy for him. So I think I might have to check that out. I would like to refine my hunting skills, especially given the state of the world. Sorry, I'm getting text messages while I'm on. But so what's the new attitude? The new attitude is I want to let go of my pride in thinking that I can or have to do it all. If I realize that, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but my attitude is I don't really mind. What's the difference between failing privately or publicly? Of course, there's some humiliation, but you get a lot more feedback in the public sphere. So like when I'm doing something stupid on the internet, I have hundreds or thousands of people watching me and critiquing me and giving me suggestion. I mean, and there are some ridiculing me, and that's okay because I deserve that. I open myself up to that. But at the same time, my learning curve is much more aggressive if I'm willing to sit there and apply the conventional wisdom or take other people's experiences and apply them to the task at hand. Um, the things that worked for you in the past very likely could sooner or later lose their serviceability, even if your customary approach still holds promise for maintaining your present load of performance and growth curve. It may not help much if you want to hit far higher achievement levels. So I've seen that where in that book by Dan Martell, it talks about buying back your time, and there's only so much efficiency that can be gleaned from doing your job as good as you can ever do it. So if you look at that across different levels, I think that there's a peak payout for those activities. I thought somebody might be here at my office, but what I've seen is that there's a limit on most of that stuff, although not all of it. Ever Loving Outdoor says, I was working on my van on live and had a couple strangers help me. I had to let them. Honestly, and that's where some of the best help and lessons come from. It's like people that don't, they come in with a fresh mind or maybe skill sets that you don't have. And it makes the job so much easier. It's beautiful. Of course, the internet also, brings other things with it too. I heard a stat on people doing podcasts, and it was like 90% of people only do one podcast and they're done after that. And then Alex Hormozy, if you know him, he said he'd average one podcast a month or a week, I think for a week, for a year, and that was his first year of podcasting. So I was like, sweet, I got him in the first year. I got multiples of that. I can't say I did the quality of videos. I am pretty sure he took some of his down. I will have to go look, but I believe that success is built on a pile of failures, and so that's what I'm doing with this channel. So I'm just going to continue to fail until I succeed, and that was basically my path to becoming monetized on this channel, which I didn't necessarily, I guess you could say I had that goal because I do like watching the analytics, and so it's like I will just continue to drill into that until something happens. Jay Sharp, how are you doing? And thank you. But that's really my goal is, and I kind of want to model that obviously for my son, but I feel like we need more good examples of people willing to do the hard things. And so that's really what I kind of also want to demonstrate is that other positive character attributes, just because I feel like a lot of people have them, but a lot of people don't get to see them. So it's kind of like they get outshined by a lot of these other, a lot of people on their worst behavior. And not saying I'm judging them, but I do think that there just needs to be people willing to put themselves in the public sphere to be the good examples to the rest of society. So right now we have a lot of really bad examples, and it's like squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing. So you see a lot of people promoting a lot of really bad, flawed mindset, faithful, spiritual approach. And I can get behind a lot of things, but it's like, man, if it's not life-giving or positive for our society, then why would we do it? But that's just kind of me. And I also want to show people it's okay to challenge yourself and be humble enough to accept the criticism of others, whether it's a word or concept I don't understand or a mushroom, But yes, exactly. Put your best foot forward, Ever Loving Outdoors. And so it's like you guys watching me build the scooter. There's a lot of things that I forgot, plenty of things I didn't know. But I was like, hey, if we can get to work and we can collectively do this, I think will build a better community and build our skill sets so we can achieve greater things. Uh, and Jay Sharp says, evil succeeds when good men do nothing. Amen. And that is exactly where I'm trying to promote that. That's the same mentality that my father instilled in me. So appreciate you guys being with me on that. So, the things that worked for you in the past very likely, oh, I already read that. And if you continue to rely on those old routines, maybe even leaning on them most when your performance flattens out or sags, you create a trap for yourself. There is certainly irony here. Your historically most dependable behaviors can become the major obstacles to future success. It's impossible for them to cripple your progress, or it's possible for them to cripple your progress. They may stand as a personal boundary lines that limit what you can accomplish with your life. And that was exactly the thought that I was going for. Is somewhere I think it's at home, but basically I was going to say is, you can only become so good of uh, a McDonald's employee, and then you go up to manager, and there's limits within different areas. We're only going to pay such a good price for somebody to come out and mow our lawn, and then it's time to progress into the next skill set, which I think that idea is lost on a lot of our society, is the fact that those jobs aren't meant for careers. Although I have heard positions like managers at McDonald's and Starbucks, and they can make pretty good money, which is fine if that's where you want to leave it. However, I believe that those are stepping stones into what's next, and they should be used as kind of like a personal development ladder. So as I was progressing, I went from mowing yards when I was like 10 to then I was shoveling driveways, then I was working in a deli, then I was a valet, and now I do financial planning. And even this, I've realized there's limitations of what I can achieve if I don't constantly push myself to evolve and progress within my skill sets, my communication, the relationships that I build. And so what I need to do is really figure out, how do I create more value for the people that I serve and work with, but also for, and how can I elevate them? And so it's a constant challenge in the back of my mind that I want to keep pushing and refining for myself. And there's a lot that goes into that. But there is, however, another course of action. It is the way of the quantum leap, U squared. The following chapters explain the peculiar strategy that is involved. So, are you guys enjoying this? So, quit trying harder. It's actually an interesting concept. So I don't know if any of you guys have watched Myron Golden, but he talks about it being easier to make $1 million a year than $50,000 or $60,000. And of course, so one of my next moves is to actually pay for one of his coaching sessions and to experiment with that. I forgot what question I asked. Ever loving outdoors, you want me to keep going? You like it? Okay, cool. I'll keep going. I will have to text my buddy back after this chapter or page, but so quit trying harder. So I do really want to know, Myron Golden says that it's easier to make that $1 million a year. So I want to know, what does he know? What is he doing? And how is he creating that? He talks about make more. He has a book called Make More Offers. And so I've listened to a lot of the book, not all of it. And I've listened to a lot of his YouTube. And so in that essence, I've kind of started taking the obstacles as challenges. So for instance, spiritually, I did feel I don't ever feel like God has said, Kyle, do a YouTube. But I have felt like God planted the seed a long time ago, and I don't know if you guys have seen my Firebird, but it gave me this vision, I feel like you could say. I mean, not like a boom, like I saw it all done, but I had this thought of my Firebird being called the weapon, which is the sword of the Spirit, and that is the Word of God. And I felt like I was supposed to use this idea to go out and basically take those thoughts and ideas and that attitude out into the world and share the gospel basically. And so I started a year ago working on that, and it's of course it's been all the other work behind the scenes, which is fun to be able to document it, because I believe that this is of course then building me into my next chapter and elevating me into hopefully whatever's coming next. So we'll see. And I'll keep these videos so that I can go back and laugh at myself for all of the silly and stupid things that I did, or the pile of failures that are leading me to success, I hope. Ever Loving Outdoor says, I don't think I could hunt or fish if I made that kind of money unless it's through hunting or fishing. Well, see, and here's the thing is I would just challenge you to think about that, because there has to be somebody, well, and actually right off the bat, if you think about Duck Dynasty, they solved the problem, right? And they created a solution. And I believe that, and I think all I know about their story is, well, actually I do know a little bit of the story of the dad, Phil, and I guess he was an alcoholic who was not a believer and had like a radical transformation, and then has led many people to the Lord. But Where was I going with that? But I mean, that's just a simple little invention, right? I mean, and all you have to do is sell a $1 item to 1 million people, and then all of a sudden you made $1 million. Well, you grossed $1 million. I don't know what it costs to produce it, but so I don't think I've ever shared this, but I have done similar things myself, not on that level. And P Dubs it all. How's it going? But I found out. So I had a 1991 Acura Legend before, and there was not any performance parts for it. Hardly. They made like the cheap cold air intake. There's a little strut bar. So long story short, and everybody thought that it looked like the Skyline, the Nissan Skyline. So I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if this car actually had some real power? And so I started down the mindset of, well, what do they make for other cars that, what do they have for the small block Chevy that they don't have for this? And how would we start down that path? So we started going down that path, and then I realized, like, okay, well, one of my first things was I did lightweight pulleys. I didn't even make them underdrive. I just basically read up on the physics of how they're supposed to work. And I found out that they were made out of like cast iron or some sort of heavy cast metal. I don't know if it was an alloy or whatnot, but it was just super heavy. So I asked, like, well, what's the weight of aluminum? That's fun to say that way, but what's the weight of aluminum? What's the difference versus the pulleys I have? And what I ended up doing was I had a prototype, and they gave me an idea. They were like, oh, that's 40 to 60% lighter. So I ended up having these pulleys re-engineered, and I had basically taken the OEM ones to a machine shop, had them remake them out of billet aluminum. And I did a test set of pulleys. I did 4 pulleys, and I ended up producing 10 wheel horsepower at peak RPM. And at the time, that was really good. That was better than like a cold air intake, right? It's about what like an exhaust would be. So I ended up doing that, and long story short, very long story short, is I ended up organizing a group buy for 110 people to do a group buy. And these pulleys, I ended up getting the cost down myself because I did them in bulk, and I ended up doing dynos before and after. But I ended up getting the cost down to $330 for 4 pulleys out of billet aluminum. And through that, I ended up selling 110 sets of pulleys, or yeah, 100 sets of pulleys, maybe 120. Can't remember because I think I did multiple group buys. But anyways, long story short is that was the beginning of then I learned a book on how to turbocharge, and I ended up turbocharging my AccuRelegend as well. And well, at first I had a shop do it. They butchered it, so then I had it redone, and I learned how turbocharging systems work, how they work most effectively, what factors matter. Long story short is it wasn't in the work that I did, but it was in the the intellectual, the studying of the topic and the application of it, that really created the value. And so I think that time where you're not getting paid to dig deeper into a topic is extremely valuable, because that adds to your comprehension when you're trying to create this work smarter mentality. So you can't underestimate that time at all. Air density, exactly. So it was, and I mean, so we're in Colorado Springs, so the altitude here is like 6,200 feet. So I had great results relative to what was happening. And if I was smart, Jay Sharp, I would have never stopped doing that. I would have just kept going. And actually, if you look at when I'm at home, I have these pulleys, and I realized that the Porsche Cayenne did not have aluminum pulleys, so I started down that road with those because I wanted one of those as well. And I was already going to start with the vehicle with twin turbos and a V8, and it's a Porsche market, so serving people with more money means that there's a lot more value, because their time is more valuable, which means the more time you save for them, the more value they will give back to you. And there is money on the other side of the stick, the lower income, but that's the cheaper items. So that's selling in masses, and that is kind of what Myron Golden is talking about in the form of his formula. So anyways, so that's my own personal example. If you guys have better ones or good ones, I'd love to hear them as well, because that definitely stimulates my thought process. And I feel like just little things might be missing links on somebody getting the next breakthrough. And could be automotive, could be the medical field, could be any other profession, and they're like, oh, it just clicks like that all of a sudden. And I've had things like that in my life where I'm like, where's the bottleneck in my thought process? Where is my time bottlenecked, and where can I expand this? Because in my business, if I had more face time with clients, then automatically my ability to make more money goes way up and create more opportunities. But if I'm doing service items all day long, then I'm basically working at an admin rate. But anyways, you've got to shift gears, pun intended, on the mechanical thing. You have to follow a new pattern of thought and action. The rules of what works and what doesn't always change when you are trying to make a move from normal performance to U squared. Stop and think about it. Here's the only way it goes. More of the same usually just gives you more of the same. Of course, if that's mainly what you're after, fine. Try a little harder and get a little bigger payoff. Try a lot harder and you can expect a lot better results, right? Well, possibly, but it's definitely not a sure thing. I would say only if it's working, right? Do you want to repeat that? Jay Sharp says, the less work you have to physically do, the more you get paid, is my experience. I wish my back wasn't screwed up because I have a lot of good ideas. Well, and to your point, Jay Sharp, if you have good ideas, that is extremely valuable in terms of doing that physical part. So you might be the most valuable part is that intellectual, that creative component, but you just have to find somebody that's trustworthy with your intellectual um, material. What am I trying to say? Um, but at that point, find somebody that will handle that and execute your great ideas. And if you can find that person, then you will monetize your mindset or your innovation. Um, hmm, I like it. I like where this is going. So sooner or later, you're going to reach a point where you can't try any harder. It may be that your spirit flags or that your physical and mental resources are stretched to the limit. And often, well, before you come to that set of circumstances, you reach the point of diminishing return. Trying harder and harder starts producing less and less. Sometimes, in fact, intensifying your efforts produces nothing except bigger problems. As a case in point, go back to the story of the fly. That little insect could have turned away from the window 180 degrees and followed a path of least resistance as it flew to the open door. A quantum leap to freedom. 10 seconds of effortless flight would have produced total success, while hours of frustration and panic spent beating its wings against the glass were destined to end fruitlessly in death on the dusty windowsill. That's so true. Now, this is not an argument against self discipline or persistence. Those are true virtues. Over a lifetime, they can make a powerful contribution to success and achievement. They are fundamental to the development of your talents. It's extremely important to apply yourself diligently, and sometimes staying power is what delivers a big win. And I do think that that's so true. However, exactly in this point, you have to be able to discern between what is the right effort and energy to focus on a problem, and is that going to yield the fruit that you want. That is why I pray daily for wisdom and discernment, um, and clarity. But ordinarily, you will find out that trying harder produces only incremental gains, not quantum leaps. Also, keep in mind that trying harder, even a lot harder, sometimes offers little more than a straight path to burnout. Attempting to succeed through more of the same, being resolute, and relying on committed effort can blind you to better pathways. If you want to make a quantum leap, stop thinking about trying harder. More effort isn't the answer. So, I like it, although sometimes I just want to throw tons of effort at it. But obviously, that's not wisdom prevailing. um, but, anyways, guys, I like that last comment, Jay Sharp. Ever Loving Outdoors, thank you for your contributions too. I'm going to go look up some of those mushrooms. And so Saturday is my 2 weeks, and I'm down 10 pounds now, or I was this morning. Hopefully, maybe I'm down 20 at no. Yeah, maybe I'm down 20. I slowed it down a little bit, but that's just the physical part. I want to see how mentally I'm doing, emotionally. I have felt pretty drained a couple of days, but I've also felt more focus and like I'm sleeping better. Hopefully my next back surgery is successful. Then I can get doing some good things. Right now, my only goals are to get back to God and have my kids back as well. That is a great goal. And I guess I don't know, Jay Sharp, did you happen to watch that that video on my channel I posted talking about discipleship? I can't remember. I think it was called Band of Brothers. So it was like an hour and a half video, but it was from my discipleship mentor. If you're ever down, I I would do discipleship, or I could even do it on maybe my next Bible study. Because I'm closing in on getting these 3 books done, but it's going slow because I took on too much. But um, I am also, I guess, depending on where your kids are at, I have a couple tough assignments myself as far as the faith-filled spiritual walk. I am having a discussion with an unbeliever, and we are conversing about, well, all of the various things in the Bible, I guess the typical arguments between believers and unbelievers, which has been great. I've been very interested in this, but it's not something I explored a whole heck of a lot before this, so I was not equipped, so I'm having to brush up for sure on a lot of scripture. So 45 days of salmon. I will do the 45 days of salmon after my 30 is up. So if you're down Ever Loving Outdoors, I will do it. You want to do it with me? And Jay Sharp, what am I doing to lose weight? Okay, so I basically took out all sugar except for just little stuff in other food, but I've been removing all of the processed stuff, no animal products, so basically vegan, and then trying to eat fresh fruits and veggies and gluten-free, alcohol-free. I have left coffee in there, but let's see. So I had 2 times where I ate some chicken and I ate a steak. I think I've had 2 drinks, but that's not too bad, at least for me, in the last almost 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's been working well, almost a little too aggressively, so I kind of eased up because I want to be able to maintain it. But I was dropping about 1 pound a day. And then I've also been maintaining my workouts in the gym. So my workouts mostly are, I'm doing full body, not every day, but I rotate muscle groups and I lift 1 warm-up set and then 3 sets, not super high reps, because I do value the strength, but I do also want to have the conditioning and the look of being a little bit leaner. And so we'll see, but I think I'm going to look pretty good at the end of the month. I'm hopeful, but I also, so that's been working, but I don't kill it in the gym. 20 minutes, unless I find a basketball game or if I listen to something, then I can do other workouts that don't seem to bother me as much. But Mr. Pancake, a dream car. Honestly, there's different vehicles I would have for different occasions. So like race cars, well, like one of my favorite cars of all time is like Aston Martins. But if I had like a daily, like I love my Raptor, honestly, for a daily, because it's like, that thing's ready for everything. It's comfortable, it's quick, gets decent gas mileage. But also, if I was going to do overlanding, I really like the, what are they really expensive? They're made here. They're on a Ford chassis. What is that one called? 68 Camaro. That thing's bad. I have a 79 Firebird that's awesome. It's in the shop right now. That's the one, if you look back in my videos, I was putting fuel injection on it. It's got a turbo. Ever Loving Outdoors, I'll be on it as soon as I can afford it. All laid up for fall deer hunting. Well, yeah, I guess let's see what the cost is too. Meat is the best thing for you. So, Jay Sharp, I'm contemplating trying, I could also try to go carnivore diet. I thought about doing that too. So I had really good results with this, and you probably missed the part about me talking about I needed to clean up my kidneys a little bit. And so I had really good results with improving my GFR by doing this diet, and also by leaning out, removing some of that mental fog and frustration, and it helped out a lot. But at some point you should send me pictures of your Camaro. I'd love to see that, J Sharp. And then yeah, so one of my next thoughts is that somebody gave me a 1991 Honda Accord, so I'll be putting the axle in probably Saturday. Should I do a sleeper build with it? Should I just fix it and sell it? I also thought about doing something crazy like pulling the motor out, either turning it and making it rear wheel drive with like a turbo 350 and like turbo stall converter rear wheel drive kind of vehicle. Or I also found a big black Ford 460. But I also thought maybe I just leave the motor in there and then I put a Tesla motor or two in the back for rear wheel drive. So I don't know. Thoughts for you guys? Tell me your opinions. But I'm probably going to put out a survey or a post and just see what people think about that too. But I got to run. I got a buddy here from out of town and he wants to meet up. So guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for spending time chatting with me. I will update you on Saturday the 2-week progress on my my temple cleanse, and those Raptor motors have mechanical issues. I don't know exactly, but it's an oil timing problem. You are correct about that. So what they have, at least, okay, so what I understand is Ford has created this timing chain tensioner that uses oil pressure to provide tension to the timing chain. So whenever you start to lose oil pressure, you lose tension, and it starts to grind up those timing components. So I had it happen in an old Triton 5.4, I think, and I pulled it apart to look because the guy thought, oh, you don't got to change the oil. It's like, dude, if you look online, like that's the one motor that you got to change the oil in. But I am curious because you can make a lot of power in the Raptor motor just with like a tune. But I am actually thinking about maybe putting an LS in the Honda Accord. I mean, the nice part about putting a Tesla motor is that it would be very fast. I could either plug it in and charge it, or I could run the Honda motor. So anyways, that's my thoughts. So, all right. Well, Kicks, how's it going? Guys, I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed the books, and have a great night. God bless y'all, and I'll catch you next time. All right. Nighty night.